Okay, we are live. I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and this is How to Fight CPS and Win. I'm joined by a special guest tonight, Miss Richard. Is it Richardson?
Richardson, yes. You
Miss
can call me
Richardson,
KJ.
what
That's
state are
fine.
you in?
I'm in New York, in Brooklyn.
Oh, you're in Brooklyn, New York. Okay.
Yes.
So what's going on in New York with CPS?
Well, as of right now, we're on trial for fact finding, but the first witness testimony was I guess retracted based on lack of credibility and lack of evidence. So that's a plus. But based on the attorneys not having dates where they all can coincide and meet at the same time, like they're dragging this thing out. So we went to trial only for like 30 minutes, and then we have a trial coming up May 21st from 3 to 4. And then
Okay.
again, June 22nd from 3:30 to 4 o'clock.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you for staying up late with me.
Thank
Although it's
you.
almost 10:30 here in California, almost PM.
It's
What is it?
1 a.m. here.
Oh,
almost 1:30 a.m. Eastern
okay.
Standard Time.
So with respect to your CPS case, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask me?
I did. I was actually, well, I got a new attorney now on retainer, so the communication is a whole lot better. The advocacy is a whole lot better. So I did ask her to put in a consent motion based on the foster parent displaying parental alienation, as well as restricting the communication with my telephone calls and, getting involved in my parenting time, like I only have supervised visits once a week for 2 hours. And then we have therapeutic visits for an hour and a half at an art studio, which was originally on the court order. But because CPS will not clear any monitor resources to be supervised, to supervise visits on my end, I'm basically restricted to those 2 hours, supervised once a week. So my question is, when the foster parent has the authority to be a supervised resource and has neglected to do that, from the very beginning, any visit that she, was supposed to supervise, she was never in supervisory standpoint. She never came. She dropped the children off and left them with me approximately 9 times unsupervised. And the one time that one of the visits went south because my 11-year-old wanted to, be defiant and disrespectful and has ODD severely, so does not like any type of authority, especially female. The foster parent did not speak up for me to let, the foster care agency know that I was not, a danger to my children. I was not unfit and I did not give them lack of guardianship. She basically threw me under the bus, and instead of them having, my resources give me the visits, which were like 8 to 10 hour visits every weekend, now I am restricted. And she had no reprimand. She got talked to, and my communication got ultimately just like ripped from me. And then the supervisor at the foster care agency is basically saying my relationship with my children is deteriorating. I mean, it would if the, interaction or the communication is limited or restricted or is optional when the children don't want to come, or when the foster parent does not feel like she wants to hear the tantrum that it may cause. So everybody can pick and choose when they want to honor court documents. So, Mr. Davis, my question is, when those things as far as parental alienation and, contempt by not, enforcing or honoring the court order, besides my attorney, what else can I do on my own to get something heard on behalf of my children being returned to parent based on there not being any significant danger?
Okay, so you told me a story. I didn't really follow the story all the way,
Right.
but
I know I jumped back.
the question was a little, kind of sideways. Just ask me a direct question.
The question is, when the foster parent is interfering with the parenting time and displaying parental alienation, if I have reached out to my attorney and she has gotten back to me but has not, moved forward on, what I'm asking, what can I do myself?
Okay. And you want the attorney to file an OSC rate contempt. Is that
Correct.
correct? Okay.
Correct.
Well, first of all, I'm not sure at this stage of the case that an OSC rate contempt is the best strategy. You
And
know, it's kind of one of those things, and I get this a lot. Um, People hire me because they think I'm an expert, and I am, but then they want to dictate the strategy.
okay.
You know, it's like one of those things. So I've only been a lawyer like 38 years, something like that, right?
Right.
And, you know, and I've been doing these types of cases for over 35 years,
Okay.
right? So I mean, other attorneys call me and ask me for strategy and, you know, things of that nature. But then when I represent a parent who's never done this type of case before, they want to give me the strategy. They want to tell me what to do.
Well,
And
I'm here to listen.
sometimes it's hard to tell Miss Richardson that that's not a good idea
Okay.
because Miss Richardson has it in her mind that this is the be all end all strategy, right? And it's not. So what I would do if I were you, first of all, I would try to talk to my attorney. You said you have a private attorney now, correct?
Yes, I have reached out to her, and she has communicated with me. As far as making that gesture to put those motions in. But everything is time sensitive, and I understand I'm not her only client, but
Well,
I'm the
well,
only
well,
client on trial.
but
So
that's not the issue.
right.
The issue is, do you think it's a good idea? Like that's what you should ask the attorney.
I No, I did, and she said. Well, she also said no, but she also said she would put in a motion for a 1028 to have the children returned to me based on there not being any significant danger anymore.
Okay, but here's the problem.
Okay.
You haven't finished the trial, so you can't make that motion yet.
So there, you can't put in a 1028 when there's trial in actual progress
Okay, so I'm answering you as if your case was in
in
California
California.
because I'm not a New York licensed attorney, but they have the same thing here in California. And in California, you can't make that motion until the prosecution has finished their case. In other words, called all their witnesses.
Okay.
Now, interestingly enough, I made that type of motion in a trial last week in the CPS court, and it was denied.
Okay.
I don't think it should have been denied, but it was denied. Now, going to be in the process of putting on my witnesses. Okay,
Okay.
so the funny thing was when it was denied, I recalled the social worker, and she basically gave testimony that supported my what you call 1028 motion, which was kind of odd. Sh
Right.
You know, she had been clued in on what to say by her own attorney and by the court, and then she testified completely differently and testified in a manner that helped me.
So it still wouldn't be admissible if if the witness's credibility actually supported your testimony, so you could not readmission, resubmit it.
No, because I've started my case in chief,
Okay.
right? I made a motion that, hey, they didn't meet their burden.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, I think
That's just one thing.
her testimony on cross-examination by the minors counsel was that my client wasn't a risk to the child.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to enforce. And my attorney, like I said, when I asked her about a motion to dismiss altogether based on lack of credibility, lack of evidence, I've
You can't.
supplied.
Well, well, let me interrupt you.
Okay.
When you say lack of credibility,
The two witnesses that were the ones that initiated the removal 7 days after the allegation was made that I was a danger and I was going to strangle my children and I was hearing voices. I went and got evaluated the same day the children were removed. Was released 45 minutes later with an appointment a month away that did not adhere to the services that I needed. So they gave me a referral to another place, which I am currently in service, have been in service, and have supplied compliance letters. have signed, even against my better judgment. My attorney advised me to sign the HIPAA to move the case along as far as getting more parents in time and more, visiting or getting sandwich visits or things like that, because my children want to spend the night with me. And it's like, it's just dragging out. They owe me well over 140 hours of parenting time.
Okay, so these CPS cases are different
Right.
from criminal cases and different from regular civil cases.
But Mr. Davis, can I just put a pin in that real quick and just explain to you? We have also a criminal case going on with my ex-husband, who assaulted my 11-year-old, who's his stepdaughter, and assaulted me. So the children were originally, the case was opened up for domestic violence and child endangerment. So I put the safety plan in place. I got an order of protection. He has violated that order 8 times. And then he was evading the law. And yet the foster parent is giving him visits or giving him access to the children. And not that I'm trying to cause parental alienation myself, but if I have to follow the rules of the court, and he is a fugitive technically from another state, evading the law on a murder charge, and you're giving him access to a child that is not his biological child, which has no legal claim, then technically the foster parent is also violating the criminal order, because it trumps the family court order based on lack of biology or any type of DNA connection.
But Ms. Richardson, what you just said is correct.
Okay.
But now here's the big but that you might find a hard pill to swallow. It doesn't have anything to do with the case against you.
Right. But what I was trying to show was, based on my history, I'm being biased against. So I'm not being heard, or I'm not being acknowledged for the things that I'm asking for the wellness of the child or in the best interest of the child.
That's
But they
not even that's not an issue right now.
Right.
The
But if
only
I'm
issue, listen,
psychotic and I provided documentation to show I am not a danger, I was not a danger at that time. There was no significant danger. There was no imminent risk. And there was no resources given to me after I asked for 3 months straight for resources to prevent a less restrictive alternative to removal.
okay. I'm going to assume that everything that you say is accurate,
Yes.
okay? Because I'm not there. I haven't reviewed the evidence. It doesn't get you what you want at this point.
Okay.
It wouldn't in California, at least.
But it's
Okay.
like, if I give in, then I'm still
Hold
not
on,
able.
hold on. See, one of the things here is you're making yourself more of a strategic expert than me.
No, I'm
And
just following the
and
rules.
based upon what Grace told me, our producer, you're not a lawyer, and you have never done one of these cases.
Right.
Are
Well,
you having
technically, I
are
am a
you
lawyer.
having a hard time
That's correct.
are you having a hard time hearing me? Because I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Sorry. No, I was saying I am an actual lawyer, but I have not practiced any case. No.
Okay, that is your biggest problem.
Right.
You're a lawyer, and you feel that you have a certain understanding of the law and of the procedure. But I can tell you right now that what you've said to me doesn't match up with the strategy that I would implement.
Okay.
Okay?
So how would you go about it?
Here's what you're trying to do. And they do these in civil cases a lot. People make a motion for what's called summary judgment.
Right.
Okay? There's no such thing in a CPS case in California, and I would assume there's no
Not
such
me
thing
either.
in New York either.
Not.
So quit trying to do that. You have to quit trying to hit that grand slam home run and make this case go away.
I've tried that. I've tried, accommodating humility and
No, no,
humbleness,
no, no.
but
You
it's like,
but wait,
you
you didn't get into this situation overnight, and it's not going to go away overnight.
no, I understand that, Mr. Davis, but what I don't understand is, when the case was originally open in September of 2023, my children did not get removed. I'm sorry, in September of 2022. My children did not get removed until February 8th of 2023, after I filed an ORS complaint to the DOE, the Department of Education, about sexual harassment that my child was enduring in school. And when I brought it to the faculty at the school, we had a sit down meeting and they talked about something completely different. They were bringing to the table that my child was a bully and she was harassing another child, but in turn, hurt people because she was also getting violated and bullied. And there were two teachers that were knowledgeable of this. And when I brought it to their attention, they dismissed it and ignored it based on my child being, a problem child because she's a special needs child. And the fact that I know my rights with the chancellor's rules and regulations. So they kind of edged me out and took me off all my committees that I sit on in the board and tried to make it seem like I was in distress. And that is when this whole I wanted to strangle my children. But you took my children 7 days after this allegation was supposed to have been made. So if I really was suicidal and wanted to harm my children, would they have been there 7 days later for you to remove?
Okay, but that hearing and those issues are long gone.
Correct. And that's why I don't understand why, if I'm giving you documentation, I'm getting verification and validation from my providers and my clinicians, letting you know that these problems that originated in their case do not no longer exist. So why can't I move forward as far as expanding my visits at your discretion or altogether, trying to see, the level of parenting or competence I may have when I interact with my children because our bond is being severed? It's not fair.
I would agree with you. The process tends not to be fair in a lot of situations, but you're going for that what I would call a win, a summary judgment win,
Mm.
instead of letting the evidence be heard and the judge make a decision. Now, apparently, you've had a number of hearings. Have you appealed any of the hearings or any of the
Um,
judge's orders?
I have, this was the first time I did appeal the disposition hearing because I finally got an attorney that actually was listening to me and was advocating on my behalf for the things that I wanted for my children. And before with the public defenders, it was just like, okay, Ms. Richardson, you've already had 3 prior cases. This is the fourth, but there's a different allegation in this case, and it has nothing to do based on my history. This is based on because it's a in retaliation type of thing because I took, my child's disrespect to a higher level because you were not acknowledging it as the faculty that was in her personal space. So I felt like my child got violated and you wanted to address something about bullying, but she also was being bullied. So you disregarded that based on her history and she was not being heard and her disrespect was not acknowledged. And that's not okay according to special needs guidelines for the chancellor's rules and regulations in New York City. I
Yeah.
am a parent advocate. That's not how you do things. And as a part of the faculty that I had a personal outside relationship with, where DOE guidelines do not interfere on a Saturday and Sunday, I felt like you merged the personal relationship and did not tell me what hat you were wearing when you reached out to me based on this allegation.
That could be possibly true, but um, I think you are, and may sound odd to say, I think you are reading the rules literally, but giving them your own meaning. I'll give you an example. One of the things that you said you've submitted documentation. The documents that you submitted mean nothing to the judge. The judge gets a chance to read them himself or herself and make a decision. I don't even know if the documents that you've submitted have been admissible or are admissible evidence.
They are admissible based on them being certified and coming from clinicians directly that they have verified interaction with my services and that I am working my treatment plan. I am identifying my triggers and I am not a
Hold on,
danger.
hold on, hold on, hold on a second. We're talking about admissibility, not the substance.
Yes, and they were admissible based on my history of.
Did the judge admit them into evidence?
Yes,
Yes or
she
no?
did. Yes, she did.
Okay. Now, if the judge admitted them to evidence, do you think that that means that the judge has to,
Acknowledge them.
yeah, believe them or acknowledge them?
Yes and no. I say yes if
You would be wrong.
if the clinician verified that under testimony or under oath, then I would say yes.
No, you would be wrong. The judge is free to decide on whether to give the clinician credibility from 0 to 10 and
Okay,
anywhere
just their
in between.
license. Like their license doesn't mean their history and their
Oh, no.
their
Oh,
track
no.
record.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So then I would have to hire an expert.
Ah,
And I'm looking for one right now as we speak. So
okay. There you go.
I've also requested another bonding study. So I would have to pay out of my pocket because the first time that I paid, they did not make that admissible. It was not admissible until my child had a crisis and was she pulled out a weapon on the foster parent, and they reached out to me to diffuse the situation, also to have her admitted because I am the legal guardian still with all my rights intact.
The bonding study in California, all you do is, I say all you do, it's not as simple as this, but
No,
basically you make a motion for the judge to order a bonding study and make the child available for the bonding study. And
and
in
we
a
did
lot of
that.
cases, the court will even pay for it. And for those cases that they don't pay for it, you would be ordered to pay for it if you wanted that bonding study.
And that's what I did the first time predisposition hearing, and then I requested another one just recently because my child was given the authority to decline family visits based on her saying I was a trigger, but also not realizing that she has ODD, which is obsessive defiant disorder. She has a severe problem with authority. And being that she's not in my personal space, she challenges anything that I say based on the disrespect or the toxicity she may be displaying toward myself, the foster parent, or her sister.
How old is she?
She just turned 11, but
Hmm.
she has numerous, admissions, and it's not because I can't diffuse the situation. It is based on my history and trying to safeguard my other child. So I'm taking the proper precautions of every time she has a tantrum like this, which gets very erratic and it may cause her to say things that, demean my credibility or demean my character. I have to safeguard my 8-year-old. So I have to take her to get evaluated. Then I have to find childcare for this one because this one cannot go inside with the other one. And if I don't accompany them, then it's abandonment. So I'm kind of caught in a catch 22 type of situation where I'm trying to get the services for my child so she can deal with, her disability or the manifestation of it, and also trying to safeguard this child because when this child is erratic, she also becomes, dangerous to this child. So it's kind of like it's not fair to my 8-year-old, and it's not fair to my 11-year-old that she's not getting the services I requested from CPS to minimize this trauma and these crises. So it's not fair that I'm reaching out to you for resources to diminish or reduce the amount of erratic behavior in my child that is labeled with mental illness currently in service on medication.
Tell me something. Um, what type of hearing are you in right now?
I'm in fact finding.
Okay, but is it as part of a 6-month review?
No, my children actually have been gone for 472 days.
Okay, so are they trying to, well, 6-month reviews take place at 6 months,
Right.
12
We
months,
did not
18
do
months.
a 6-month hearing because the children had a transfer placement in the middle of the 6-month review. And that's when the foster care agency stepped in. But my problem is they have this foster parent labeled as a kinship, and she is not a blood relative. She's not even a friend. She is somebody that my ex-husband knows that brought her into the midst of this because we don't have a toxic communication, but it's not a communication to where, it's cordial. It's just, she'll follow the rules when she feels like it.
Miss Richardson, I'm going to tell you something,
Yes.
okay? And it might be the most important thing that I tell you tonight, but it might make you upset.
It probably will, but I'm going to listen.
Okay. And I'm going to give you a little background. Many years ago, um, someone recommended to me to go to the Jerry Spence Trial Lawyers College. It's in Wyoming.
I remember you talking about that on your seminar.
Mhm. And when I went, I had been a lawyer for a long time, many years, and, another attorney recommended that I go, and he recommended it to me because he thought that I had, the acumen and the raw talent to be a good trial lawyer, but that I was basically kind of a wild man,
That was
to use his own words. Then I found out that the college was like a month long, okay?
okay.
And it's in the middle of Wyoming,
That's
okay?
cold.
Back then, there was no TV there, no Wi-Fi, no internet connection, nothing
Just
like that.
in solitude.
Right. You were there for a month, not quite a month, but you were there for almost a month with, the people in the college and the faculty, learning to be a good trial lawyer. So it's kind of intense in that way because you didn't have, at that time I was married, I had young kids, I had a business, right? All of that was happening while I was in Wyoming. One of the most important things that happened to me in Wyoming happened the first week of the training, or they called it the college, the trial lawyers college. And we started doing exercises on listening.
I know where you're going with this.
Listening. Can you imagine that?
You said it to me.
Listening. With all due respect, you're a bad listener.
I know. You're not the only one that said that. I know. And that's why I was ready for it. But you said
So
it to me before, twice.
I mean, we've been on this call less than a half hour, and I already can tell you that you're a really bad listener. And the reason why that's important in the trial setting is it's really, really hard to win if you're not actively listening.
Okay.
Now, I don't want to go into what makes a good listener, but suffice it to say that I was shocked to learn that I was a bad listener at, 40 years old or 45 years old, how old I was.
Okay.
And when I came back from the college, one of the first cases that I did, and where I implemented everything I learned, including the listening, was a criminal case. And they were trying to put my client in jail. And from listening to some facts about the case, I realized something that caused us not only to win the case, but to get the DA to drop the case against my client,
Okay.
just from listening to something. So that's how important listening can be.
Okay.
And I understand you're in a hurry to get this going, to get this over, to get the evidence before the judge, for the judge to make a decision. That's not how courtrooms work.
I feel like at this point in the complexity of my case, it's been 10 years. So this is the longest my children have been separated from me. The communication is restricted. The visits are supervised and limited. The foster parent is not a resource or a kinship friend of mine. And I am being X'd out on everything. Their school, which I have all educational rights. Their clinicians are not communicating with me, so I don't know what's going on as far as their treatment plans or things like that. But when it comes to IEP meetings or, BIP amendments or implementing new goals and things like that in their therapeutic plan, that's when you reach out to me, but you don't give me a copy of the psych social, the psych eval, so I can compare and contrast to see what goals they have achieved and what goals we need to work on. I'm a very involved parent. I am a parent that sits on many chairs in the DOE before this case. And this is the one case that was indicated from the very beginning in my 10-year stature with the same agency that I had a physical altercation with the worker who was now in administration. So now do you see my frustration?
Yes, but I'm going to tell you something else that you've said many times tonight. I feel.
And it's not about me, it's about the children, the well-being of the
Oh,
children.
you know that.
Yes,
Okay. Then don't tell me how you feel.
you're right.
Okay. First of all, the case is not about you. I
It
and
seems to be about me because everything that I implement as a positive or uh achievement toward reunification, anything that I try to give an option or an opinion or a suggestion, it's never acknowledged when it's in the best interest of the child. But anything that may be negative or to get a negative reaction out of me based on my combative history, I'm not that person anymore. And I feel like it's like a pressure bust pipes type of thing. It's like you keep poking the bear until they maul you. And then it's like now I have to deal with all the backlash and still try to express to my children, I'm sorry, and try to fix that. And then you're saying I'm traumatizing them. You guys won't even give me a chance based on my history, and I've been doing is advocating for their wellness. Every service they have in place is because I put them there.
Ms. Richardson, how many cases do you think I've done in my career?
Well over hundreds.
100? Really?
No, not that many.
How about
Thousands.
thousands?
I believe it. That's why I said well over hundreds, but well over thousands. I believe it.
And the more you do something, the more you become an expert at it, right?
I guess not me because this is like my fourth case, and I thought I was well versed in this
But
type of
see,
law.
here's the thing. It's all about what you're thinking. And that case is not about what you think.
But I'm not doing that based on what I'm thinking. I'm doing it based on my lack of credibility, based on my history, my lack of acknowledgement based on me being a combative person in my past. So you're not acknowledging the person that I am standing in front of, the person standing before you. You still want to try to make me irrational and then say, look, she's erratic. So we knew, she was a danger to the children. But you want to put me in a situation where you guys get to determine my level of parenting based on your lack of resources and lack of support that I've been begging for almost years now. And now because you guys are like under the firing pen, now you want to make it seem like you are in the best interest of my children. And I'm just this irrational parent because I'm not getting my way.
You're making it easy for them.
Okay.
I would like you to, after this evening, you can call this evening because there's somebody answering the phone 24/7.
Okay.
Call my office, make an appointment to speak to me.
Okay.
There's some things that I need to tell you that I don't think anybody's ever shared with you.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm open to all information. So
Right.
definitely.
So that's what I want to do. I want to have a different type of discussion with you
Okay.
because, people think the law wins cases.
And it doesn't all the time because
Right.
it hasn't
Right.
for me in a couple of times.
Right.
But that does not mean you get to minimize, the
Oh,
things
no,
that
no,
I'm
no.
advocating for as far
Don't
as.
don't tell people what it means.
No, what I'm saying is you saying as far as the foster care agency, they say everything is in the best interest of the child. But you cannot restrict my parenting time because the foster parent wants to go out of town and then the foster parent never leaves. And then, my parenting time is not, I'm not giving an alternative day, nor am I giving a day at all. And then, you put that prudent parent law in place and make it seem like I'm not trying to give my children a life of normalcy. But
Why
in
do you
all
say
actuality, you're
why
restricting
do you
it.
say they can't do that?
No, I'm not saying they can't. It's not fair because if you're telling me
Well,
the
wait,
right,
wait, 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 wait. Fair.
I know I'm using the
Fair.
wrong
What's
terminology.
what's fair? What's fair to you is different to me, different
Right.
from the guy on the street, different for the judge, different for the social worker, different for the minor's attorney. Everybody looks at fairness differently.
But if your
Don't look.
main mission on your mission statement, your first bullet point is to provide families with supports and resources for wellness and the progression of a diverse community. That is total bullshit.
Yeah,
That's false
of
advertisement.
course, of
So
course it
there's,
is.
but there's
Of
no
course it
reprimand for
is.
that.
Of course it is, and quit trying to hold them to it because they're just going to squirm out of it.
But they hold me to everything, and this is what I'm saying. It's not a tug of war, and it's not an equal thing.
Ms.
But at
Richardson, do you
least
want me to tell you how to win, or you want me to tell you how to reform the system?
I want to win.
Oh,
I want
really?
to get my kids home. I want to get my kids home.
Okay, then you need to be listening to me and your attorney.
Got it.
Okay, because I don't. I used to say this all the time, and I'll say it to you. I say this to clients. It seems like every week, every day. Sometimes I say, "Look, do you want to win or do you want to be right? Because they're not the same thing." Okay, so talking to you, you want to be right, and
Yeah, I
and you
kind of
don't
do
want and you don't
because
want to win, and you don't want to win.
I want to do both, but I'd rather
No,
win.
you can't. You can't do both.
Well, I'd rather win then. I'd rather
Okay.
get my kids home and focus on other stuff later once I
Yeah.
get them back in my care.
If you want to be right after you get the kids home, sue them.
Oh, I plan to.
Okay. But you got to get the kids home first.
Right. And that's my
You-
main objective. It's very hard when the things that you do try to, I guess suggest to them out of the best interest of the child, based on your history or based on the foster parent not honoring certain court orders and making it hard and saying that you're the one initiating, trauma
Miss
to the
Richardson,
child.
you're focusing on the wrong thing.
Okay. I
You,
just
you
because I'm always the one traumatizing my kids, and all I've done is try to advocate in their wellness.
you're focusing on the wrong thing. When you call me, I'm going to break it down to you.
Okay.
Okay.
And what time should I call?
You
Pacific
can
time.
call right now. There's somebody there 24/7, 365, and they'll
Okay.
make an appointment for you.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Davis.
But
Thank you.
but here's the thing. You have to promise to at least consider what I'm saying. A lot of
I,
people say, "Hey, Vince, tell me how to win, how to get my kids back." And I tell them ABC. They go about and they do XYZ. I just wasted, 30-minute conversation with them.
well, I will definitely enforce. It definitely will utilize your advice tenfold.
Okay.
So I'm
Very
ready
good.
to just sit back and listen, like you said.
Ms. Richardson, thank you for being on the show this evening.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. I'll be looking forward to talking to you privately about your case.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
And here's one thing that I used to say all the time. Cases are usually not won in the courtroom.
They're one outside with the activity.
And I can tell from our brief discussion here this evening, you're not doing a good job on the outside fights.
I'm not. You're right.
One quick story. My father is African American. My mother is Japanese, but my father's parents raised me
Okay.
in South Los Angeles. And I had a certain bad attitude even after I became a lawyer. And back then, because this is a long time ago, back then there weren't that many minority lawyers. I mean,
Right.
they got a lot of them now, affirmative action worked. But back then there weren't that many. And I was in a firm, big firm, and there was one other African American that worked there. And his name was Michael D. Randall. Brilliant, brilliant attorney from Bolt Hall Law School up at Berkeley. May he rest in peace. He's deceased now.
Mm.
And you know what he told me one time?
But
He said, Vince, now he's black and he's talking to me. He said, Vince, when you argue and you make points, he says, it's like you use a nuclear bomb to solve every problem. He says, some problems can be solved with just a regular bomb or a hand grenade or a 22 pistol or a pop gun, with the caps.
Right.
He
I
says,
know what you mean.
you
Everything
don't
does
he
not
said,
need to be a
you don't have
million
to you don't
times.
have to escalate everything to the nuclear,
I'm an extremist, Mr. Davis. Like I only know how to
what
go home
I know,
alone.
that's the problem. That was my problem. And he explained to me, he says, when you're talking to these people, he says, they're not from where you're from. He says, all you got to do is open your eyes and look at them. He says, how do you think they're going to react to you with every nuclear bomb threat that you bring out?
They're gonna get in the bomb shelter and protect themselves and everybody in their circumference.
Do you know that I thought about that and thought about it for years? Years.
Nah, it made total sense to me just that fast. And I know exactly what you mean.
Right. So the art of advocacy is to win for your client, not to be right, not to get respect from them that they may never give you anyway.
I'm convinced of that.
There was a professional team, the Oakland Raiders, who was owned by a guy named Al Davis, one of the most disliked owners in all of NFL history. You know what his motto was? Just win, baby. Just win.
Maybe I can accommodate that model. Because that's at this point, I
There you
guess my
go.
melanin is making more of a boisterous advocacy than me on the
Right.
forefront. So
Yeah.
I have to
Just
take a seat and sit back and follow
just
the
just win. Just win, baby. That's all you got to do. And then if you want to get even, because my grandma told me, never get mad,
you get even.
get even. So
Absolutely.
after you win and get your kids back, then you can
Match
trot
the
over to
picture.
the federal court, and if you have a case,
Oh, I definitely do.
you can file a civil rights lawsuit.
The American Disabilities Act is
But you
definitely a fact.
you have to win first.
Yes.
You have to get your kids back first.
So I will be calling you so you can help me win.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you
Thank you.
again, Ms. Richardson. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you, Mr. Davis. I
All right.
definitely appreciate the information.
All
You
right.
guys have a blessed night out there. Stay safe.
Bye-bye. All right. So we have another guest from the great state of Florida. I'm going to add her to the show right now. And there she is. What's your name, ma'am? I wonder if she can hear me. Nothing like technical difficulties. Ma'am, you're muted according to my control board
Oh,
here.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, now we can hear
Hi.
you.
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, we can hear you. What's your
Okay,
name?
perfect.
What's your
My
name?
name is Emma.
Emma, you're from Florida. What county are you in?
I'm from Alachua County.
Where?
You said what?
Where are you from?
Alachua County?
Where is that?
Alachua County is over there by Daytona, Miami.
So
I
you
don't know if you heard of like the Gators.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Go Gators.
So what's
Yeah.
going on with CPS down there in Florida?
Oh yes. Yes. It's DCF.
What's going on?
Oh gosh. Whew. Oh my God. Okay, so this is going on. So I have two kids. I have a 10-year-old and I have a 2-year-old. And they both got different dads. The 10-year-old dad never been in his life. The 2-year-old dad, he been in and out. So with that being said, the 2-year-old dad had lost his apartment and his car. So after him being absent, I finally told him that I'm going to start putting him on child support soon. And when I told him that, he quickly got my 2-year-old from her daycare and got her and called CPS on me. He told CPS that I have a mental illness, and he said I am on a lot of different drugs. Whenever he said that to them, mind you, I am at work. I don't know that he did this. I'm at work, and my neighbors had called me and said CPS and the police had entered your home. And I quickly got off of work, and when I got off of work and went back to my house, they was not there anymore. I went to my 10-year-old daycare, after school daycare, and he was with the CPS. CPS was just arriving to the daycare, and she was like, saying that, hey, we had a call in, and right now your kids is not allowed to go back to your home. And they had said that I would have to find a family relative to call to pick up my 10-year-old. Um, and my 10-year-old, he is autistic, nonverbal, special needs. A little bit background of that is that my degree is I specialize in behavioral therapy for all special needs kids.
Did you have a question you wanted to?
And after that, I special needs. I have been doing that for years at the school board. That really he really encouraged me to do that because I'm dealing with a nonverbal autistic child. So whenever CPS arrived to the daycare, they told me I had to sign a safety plan. I have to go to the psych evaluation now. And they told me to take a drug test now. And I told them I am not taking a drug test until I speak to my attorney. And I said that I am not going to the psych evaluation and right now at this moment because that is for crisis only. And right, I'm not experiencing I need to hurt myself or hurt others. So what I will do is I will call and make an appointment. And when they schedule me for appointments for a psych evaluation, I will take that.
So, what question do you have for me this evening?
Sorry. So we never went to court. We never had a court hearing. She told me to do three things: clean up my home, and they said to fix my front door, which my front door was never broke, and they told me to take a psych evaluation. See, my question is this: I took a psych evaluation. And before I tell you about me taking a second evaluation, when my child father called CPS on me, he actually also called my family. My family stay 100 miles away from me. They have not been in my life in over like 6 years. So my child father had called my family and says, "Hey, Emma on drugs and Emma have a mental illness." And besides them calling me, they called CPS and said, go to Emma's house. Emma is on drugs and she have a mental illness. Please believe her child father. He won't lie. So that is just like the background of that. So my question is this. I took a psych evaluation and I took a psych evaluation 3 times and everything came back to anxiety.
Okay.
And they said, since I have anxiety, that the kids have to remain out of home until I am done with therapy for 6 months.
Okay. So, what's the question?
My thing is, my family do not know anything about disabled, so nobody can keep my disabled son. Only person that stood up to take him in was his teacher, and his teacher don't know how long she will want to do it. And the CPS was like, well, the next thing is foster care. And my thing is this. I told the supervisor, I said, hey, I've been reading up on policies and procedures. I was supposed to be in the danger assessment for you guys to remove my kids out of my home. I don't fall in no other categories in the danger assessment. So why was my kids removed out of my home? And the supervisor said it's because they did the behavioral assessment on me. And that's why I needed my kids out of my home. My question is, what is a behavioral assessment?
Well, in California, to put it, I guess, short
For adults?
definition would be, how you act. We can see a very clear picture of your ear
I'm
and your
sorry.
ear
Oh,
piercing.
oh my God. Ah, I'm so sorry. My bad. Like I can't hear in my ear right here. And so like I can't I was trying to find my AirPods, but it's not. Hold on. Hold on. Um Michael, you have your AirPods? Can I hold it, please? Look in the laundry room. I think the AirPods is in the laundry room. Thank you. Okay.
So, Emma,
Um, so I deaf in one of
did you
my
get a
ears.
copy of the behavioral assessment?
I had asked them for a copy of my behavioral assessment, and they have not done that at all. They've been about like 3 or 4 days. I emailed them and I emailed the supervisor and said, "Hey, I need an assessment." What is my question is this: do a behavioral assessment means that kids supposed to be remain out of the home?
It depends on what the assessment says.
Okay, okay, okay.
So
Because I know,
if the assessment says that you're a risk or a danger, yeah, they'll take the kids out of your home.
but how can I be a risk of danger?
Well, I don't know all the facts in your case, but from what you've told me so far, they think there may be some type of emotional or psychological issues with you that you might be a risk to the children.
Right. So I never had a CPS case before, and as well, I have my degree, and like the behavioral as well. And this is something I have to study, and I had to graduate from. So it's just very like I don't even understand because right now my child father was like, hey, I wish I never would have done that. I really need you to help me with the 2 year old, Like it's been a month and I've been doing this by myself. And I'm like, oh well, I can't have no access to my daughter. You have to like watch over me. If she has to come in the house, you monitor. I believe monitor person that everywhere I go, you have to follow me with her or whatever. So I said, well, you did that out of spite because of something that child support. Well, we could have sat down and talked about this, but now you called DCF and now you're saying you want me to get her, get her. I ha- I was keeping her 24 hours. I was keeping her every day. Now I can't. And it's what's really bothering me the most because nobody's thinking about the special needs child. Like my child needs therapy. He have a use a communication device. Like I bathe him. I gotta put his shoes on. Like I have to do this. And they was like, what family member can take over? No family member can wants to take over. And it just been bothering me because like I've been going in a circle, a safety plan. You guys told me to clean up. You guys told me to do 3 things, a psych evaluation. I did it. I did it. But now I don't understand why I have to do 6 months of therapy for anxiety. Like it just doesn't sound right.
Well, what you need to do is you need to get a copy of the report, read the report, and discuss it with your attorney. and I
Okay.
think I think your questions will be answered. I can't answer them because I've never seen the report or any other evidence in your case. But I assure you there's something in that report that probably bothered the social worker and or the judge, and that's why the
We
children have.
never went to the judge.
I said the social worker and or the judge,
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
and that's why you don't have the children in your custody.
Oh, okay. Because like I know one thing that really was telling, what she was saying that was bothering is whenever she had spoke to my family. But I don't. I just don't understand. Like, how can you guys take into consideration of my family who say 100 miles away, who did not even know I had another child? You know, a 2 year old. Like, we're so separated. We're so
Yeah.
distant from each other. Like,
Hey Emma.
yeah.
So before we go any further, I want you to get a copy of the report and have it discussed with you and your attorney,
Okay.
and then give us a call back and let us know what's going on. Okay?
A behavior. Okay, so I before we leave, before I get off, I have already asked for a behavioral assessment from my from the supervisor. What is the next step of obtaining that document?
What's the next step of seeing the document?
Yes,
You call your attorney, email your attorney,
that's the
tell
only
him or
step.
her that you want to review that report and that assessment with
See,
them.
my thing is that I have called over 100 attorneys in Gainesville, Florida, and Florida in general.
Well, wait a minute. Don't you have an attorney in the case?
No, I don't.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
The court hasn't appointed an attorney for you?
We never went to court.
You've never gone to court and they've taken your kids away?
No, I said that. No,
Well,
nope.
wait a minute. Are your kids living with you?
No.
How long have they not been living with you?
Since April the 12th.
Okay, so we're now the 29th.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to continue to hold your kids away from you, they're going to have to take you to court unless you agree in writing that they can take your kids away, which I wouldn't.
A
I
safety plan.
wouldn't. Huh?
I signed the safety plan.
Oh, you signed the safety plan?
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
it was
that's why
like
you haven't. That's why you haven't been to court.
right. It was like oh, so that's why I did not go to court. Wow, I spoke to the other lady that was on your team, and she said that it doesn't matter I signed a safety plan or not. I still have to go to court in 72 hours.
That's not actually correct. If you sign the safety plan, you don't have to go.
Mm,
Now,
okay.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. At any time, at least in California, you can write to them and say you withdraw your authority.
Well, and I asked her
Your
that, and she was like, "Stop listening to Google. You cannot do that." Like I had two podcasts from your channel today. Oh,
hold on a
jeez,
second. So you can withdraw your safety plan.
I can't withdraw. Okay, I
Okay,
can't
but then
withdraw.
if you do withdraw, they're gonna take you to court.
Right, of course.
Now, you may not want to withdraw it until you talk to an attorney.
Okay.
So the attorney can review the assessment, the behavioral assessment, to see if it would be advantageous for you to use the safety
Yeah, I
plan
never saw the behavior
or to go to
again.
court. Okay?
I wish I can look over that document. I have been looking for a document, just not what, even if it's not the answers, I just wanted to know like what's on it, like the options.
Okay. Well, I couldn't tell you because I haven't seen it, right?
Right.
Why don't you take some steps to get the safety plan and the report? And if you can't find anybody out, maybe I'll try to help you if you email them over to me, okay?
Okay, because I have the safety plan,
But I need to see the assessment as well.
the assessment of the behavioral.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, so I do not have to go to court, but I can withdraw, but I need to talk to attorney first.
correct.
Okay. I don't try to speak to over 100 attorneys. You're not understanding because I have really, really, really tried to speak over 100. A lot of them say they will not go against CPS. A lot of them say they used to do that, but they don't do it. I'll call the law firm. What is it? The law board. What is it that everybody keep referring me to? It's like the law.
State bar?
State Bar. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. The State Bar. And they was the one who referred me to these attorneys, and they no longer was just something cases like that.
You know what,
Or
Emma?
yeah.
What you need to do is Google CPS attorney Florida.
Yeah, I did. I did. I
Keep calling
did.
because there's
It's gotta be somebody.
there's hundreds, like maybe a couple 100,000 attorneys in Florida, maybe, or 100,000. You've only called 100, so you got a few more calls to make. Okay.
Okay, and my last question is that whenever I do call the attorney or whatever, how do I know about the laws of how CPS is ran in my county?
You won't know that. You're gonna have to talk to an attorney about that.
Okay, well, thank you
Okay,
so
Emma.
much.
All right, thank you very much. We've come to the end of the show. Thank you for being on and staying up late this evening. It's like 11, almost 11:30 here, so it must be almost 2:30 where you are.
Yes, yes.
All right. Well, thank you again for being on. If you get the
Yeah,
documents, go ahead and email them to me and give me a call. Okay, Emma?
I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, folks, that's all for this evening. If you have any questions or want to ask me any questions, you can give us a call. Numbers in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, 888-888-6582. Hopefully we can do this tomorrow night as well, and I'll be talking to everyone soon. Bye-bye.